Welcome to the Airgun Show. This week I'm taking a look at the high-performance Conquest V4 telescopic sight from Zeiss. But first up, I'm heading to some squirrel-infested woods to try to find out which bait is best for bringing in bushy-tails to a feeding station. Right, let me kick off by apologising for the sound quality. Now, not only are we fairly close to a road, there's also a tractor working in a field just behind these woods, and it's making a really annoying whining sound, so I hope we're not picking up too much of that on the audio. Now, some of you may recall that a few weeks ago we were out on a dusk shoot. We were trying to make a mixed bag, which we did in the end, but we shot a surprising number of grey squirrels. And I actually commented at the time that with so many squirrels around, it could be a great place to set up a feeding station. So I've done that, but considering just how abundant the squirrels were, it also seemed like a good idea to maybe set up another one of the trials that we've done before, just to see if there's a bait that can outcompete peanuts when it comes to attracting grey squirrels. So what I've done, I've set up two feeders right next to each other. The one on the left is loaded with peanuts as usual, and the one on the right I've loaded with the cheaper bait. Now in the past we've tried sunflower hearts, wheat, and I think also one or two other things, and a few people have suggested that we try black sunflower seeds. So for this shoot, that's what we've got in that right hand feeder. The feeders have been running for a couple of weeks, so today we should find out which ones the squirrels prefer. Now, as for kit, I reviewed the BSA Ultra CLX in its first edition, guys, a few weeks ago and absolutely loved it. So today I've got out it's the CLX again, but this time it's the standard version in the beach stock. I just felt that being such a compact little gun, it could be great in the hide, so I'm eager to try it out for just that today. And I've actually coupled the Ultra with some really serious glass this week. This is the Zeiss Conquest V4. Now, it may seem peculiar coupling a relatively affordable PCP with such a premium optic, but I've been using this out on the range and this is a cracking accurate little combo. And now, for a long time, Zeiss optics have been regarded as really being the preserve of people that use powder burning rifles, but this range, the Conquest V4, has now been redesigned so that they parallax down to just 10 yards, which makes them absolutely perfect for airgun use. Now of course, Zeiss scopes aren't cheap, but the optical quality of this scope, it has to be seen to be believed. Now, I don't expect my scope cam footage is really going to do it justice today, so if you do get a chance to get out there and look through one of these scopes in your local gun shop, do have a look for yourself. There are numerous different scopes in the Conquest V4 range. They have different size and magnification specifications, different reticles, and just generally quite a wide range of features. So what I'll do is cover it in more detail later on in a review, just to let you know more about it. But in the meantime, we're going to get into the hide and see if we can shoot a few squirrels. Well, the birds certainly prefer the black sunflower seeds. Now, I don't mind at all losing a bit of feed to songbirds. Quite frankly, it's nice to see them coming and going, and their activity will almost always attract the attention of squirrels. Well, that wasn't the greatest start to our feed trial. That squirrel seemed to have sensed us. It was froze dead still. I was worried it was going to spook, so quite frankly I just wanted to shoot it before it bolted away. Unfortunately we'll never know whether it preferred peanuts or black sunflower seeds, but we're here for pest control first and foremost, and I didn't want that one getting away.
There are a lot of squirrels in these woods, so it isn't very long before another one puts in an appearance. In fact, there are two near the feeder. Hopefully we'll even get a chance to find out which of our bait offerings they favour this time.
Wow, we had two squirrels at the feeder then. The one I shot had taken a peanut, but the other one, which has just bolted off, was definitely showing a really keen interest in those black sunflower seeds, so I think we might have to call that one a draw.
The squirrel that bolted off after that last shot didn't go very far. The attraction of the dual feeding station is too much for it to be discouraged by the loss of its mate, and it soon makes the mistake of clambering back down for another look.
There's another one. I didn't think we'd have to wait too long for that opportunity after previously having two at the feeding station. Now, that one was showing quite a lot of interest in the black sunflower seeds initially, but it was eventually and predictably tempted by the peanuts.
The action is picking up now, and again we have a squirrel that can't seem to make up its mind over which bait to go for.
Once again, that one did initially appear to be fairly interested in the sunflower seeds, but it's another one for the peanuts.
You can see that my hide is only a fairly basic screen, but it's more than adequate when squirrels are distracted by the urge to gorge on seeds and nuts.
And another one for the peanuts there. And again, there were two squirrels around the feeder at the same time, so I really don't expect it to be very long before we get another chance. Peanuts again. Now I'm not sure whether it is apparent to you looking through the scope cam footage, but I'm giving these shots just a tiny amount of hold under. Now The feeding station is only just a little bit over 20 metres from the hide, but this setup is zeroed at 30 metres, which means the pellet will be striking just a little bit high at the distance to the feeder. So as I said, I'm just compensating by aiming low, but only a tiny, tiny bit. Well, that one was really well onto the peanuts, and so much so that it didn't even want to move away from the outlet like the others. It was just dangling down there feeding away. It also dangled for a bit of a while after I took the shot, but looking through the scope I could see that that squirrel was stone dead as soon as the pellet struck.
The tractor is still working away in the fields, but the noise isn't putting the squirrels off. In fact, it's probably helping to mask some of the noise that I'm making while talking to the camera.
Wow, that one was killed so cleanly I didn't think it was going to fall off the feeder. Obviously it rolled off eventually. Now this session really has been another clear win for the peanuts. Grey squirrels just don't seem to be able to resist them regardless of what else is on offer. That said, I do think that if the peanuts hadn't been there, the black sunflower seeds would have been enough of a draw to have pulled in a few grey squirrels. We're going to wrap this session up now, mainly because we want to move on and have a go at some rabbits before we run out of light. But what I will say is that shooting from the hide today, this combo has performed brilliantly. The little Ultra, it's really great little gun to shoot off the sticks in the confines of a hide, and the Zeiss scope, well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the brightest, clearest optics I've ever used on an air rifle. As I said, I'll get on, do a detailed review and tell you much more about it. A great first hunting trip for the BSA Ultra CLX and the Zeiss Conquest V4 there. Next up, let's take a proper look at that scope. Right, you've just seen me out hunting with a Zeiss scope, and I said we'd take a look at it in a bit more detail. So here we go. Now, up until recently, Zeiss optics haven't really been associated with airgun shooting, but I reckon that's about to change in a very big way. Now what I have here is the Conquest V4 model. It parallaxes right down to just 10 yards and out to infinity, which makes it perfect for airgun use. The thing that has really struck me about this scope is its optical quality. Now, some of you will say that comes at a cost, and I suppose it does, but retail prices for this range start at £895. Now these scopes are available in numerous formats, right up to 6 to 24 by 50. This is the 4 to 16 by 44, and to say that I'm impressed with it is a massive understatement. The light transmission on these scopes is remarkable, and the light gain at dawn and dusk has to be seen to be believed. Even the smaller 44mm objective lens model really sucks in the light. Now the 30mm tube plays its part, as does high quality glass and Zeiss's 6-layer lens coating process. Now these scopes boast 90% light transmission,
and that's one of the big gains enjoyed by shooters who choose to spend a little more on their optics. The Conquest V4 has lovely clean lines and really does ooze quality. Now, weighing in at 670 grams and measuring 350 millimeters in length, I would describe this model as a mid-size scope. Now, although it isn't super compact, it still looks perfectly at home on a bullpup or a stubby carbine. This range of scopes comes with a huge choice of reticle designs, including plenty of options for shooters who like numerous different reference points for applying aim off. There's even a choice of thicknesses as well as designs. Now, this model has the basic 60 reticle design, which is probably the most simplest in the range, but I really like it. It enables really fast target acquisition, and with practice you quickly learn how to apply aim off by eye. This is a second focal plane scope, and features include an illuminated reticle. Controlled by the outer dial on the left hand turret, you get 10 degrees of brightness. Now, how much of the reticle actually lights up depends on which model you opt for. On this scope, it just lights up the very central point of the crosshairs to give you a really clear reference point in low light conditions. The inner dial on the left hand turret serves as the parallax adjustment wheel and turns very smoothly to focus from that all important 10 yards out to infinity. Now, it's not actually marked with distances, but I don't think that's really going to be a problem with people that are buying a scope of this quality, because they're probably going to tend to want to add their own precisely calibrated markings so that they can accurately calculate range when the target snaps into focus. The right hand turret serves the usual purpose of windage adjustment. On this model, it's a capped finger adjustable dial. Now, it turns with really positive clicks, each of which adjusts the point of impact by 1/4 MOA. Now, on the multi-aim point models, those reticles are calibrated to correspond with those adjustments. The top elevation turret is clearly marked and it's uncovered, so you can quickly turn it up or down to make rapid adjustments. It has 80 MOA travel and a very useful rotation scale indicator. Although this dial is uncovered and doesn't need to be lifted to turn, the clicks are positive enough to avoid any unintentional adjustment. Now, Zeiss's ballistic turret feature refers to a ballistic stop that enables you to set exactly where the dial stops turning. That means that you can dial in to adjust for different ranges, but always be assured of an exact return to your set 0. As I've said, this is a 4 to 16 times model, but there are also versions right up to 6 to 24 times for real long range work. Now, the zoom dial is quite tight to turn, but I much prefer that over a loose dial. And the outer wheel is ridged for an improved grip, and it even has a raised lug to ensure that you get a proper hold of it either in wet conditions or when you're wearing gloves. At the very rear of the eye bell is the ocular focusing ring, which obviously you only need to adjust once to ensure that the reticle is pin sharp for your eye. Now, like the other dials on this scope, it is quite stiff to turn, but I find that very reassuring because you know it's not going to drift once you've got it set to your exact preference. These scopes are made in Japan to exacting standards, and it really shows. The build quality is excellent, and they are properly waterproofed and nitrogen purged to stop them from fogging up in damp conditions. It's covered by Zeiss's limited lifetime warranty and 5-year no-fault policy, so you also get peace of mind as well as a truly excellent scope. Supplied extras include a key to set the turret lock, a battery for the illuminated reticle, a lens cloth, and a set of bikini-style lens covers. Now, of course, there are scopes that come with more goodies, but Zeiss tends to rely on optical quality and high-end performance rather than gimmicks. After using the Conquest V4 for several weeks, I can confidently say that it's one of the finest telescopic sights I have ever used. Its optical quality is mind-blowing. Now, obviously, with prices around the £1,000 mark,
this is not a scope for shooters that are looking for something cheap and cheerful, but those who are lucky enough to be able to afford it will certainly get their money's worth. They'll be investing in a scope that is truly fine and will still be at the front of the pack when its cheaper rivals are either outdated or broken.
Don't miss the award-winning Airgun Shooter magazine. It's packed with hunting features, reviews, tactics and insight to help you become an even more successful shooter. Get your copy today in shops or online.
That's all we've got time for in this week's show, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, it's time you joined the organisation that works to promote and protect your sport.